Bible.
Could be on the other, but those kids don't want to.
Pay no attention to them.
He is my Coke.
It's always something.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yep.
Councilmember Grosha. Are you all set, Mr. Hitch, or do you need a minute?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. Good evening for July 6, 2015. Madam Clerk, could we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Present.
Councilmember Bruno,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Drosha,
Here.
Councilmember Ferris,
Present.
Councilmember Mulvaney,
Here.
Mayor Waltz.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Will you please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation led by Councilmember Ferris?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, we thank you for those who fought for our freedom and ask you to give us the wisdom to continue to do so with words or deeds as needed. We ask you to aid those in peril or in need in our community and around the world. And we are especially grateful for those who take the time to record and to help us to remember our heritage. In your name we say amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Ferris. Are there any announcements this evening? Councilmember Drosha.
As the citizens all know, back in June there was a fire at the Baja Grill, and that has displaced several people and put a couple of businesses out of business, at least for a couple of months. There has been a GoFundMe campaign started, and to contribute to that, all citizens need to do is go to GoFundMe.com and search for Baja Grill, and that will bring up the campaign. And any donation in any denomination is greatly appreciated to help get those people back on their feet.
Thank you, Councilmember Drosha. Councilmember Ferris.
As you've probably been eagerly awaiting, this Saturday is the new improved Farmers Market from 9 to 1 on the north side of the Courthouse Square.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say a brief word of thanks to all of those that were involved in the Mason Sesquicentennial celebration over the past few days. There were so many people that came out and not only helped to volunteer and facilitate the events, but also came out and supported and enjoyed them. So in particular, I just want to mention special thanks to the Historical Society, to the Chamber, to the County Seat Old Car Club, as well as our Fire Department and Firefighters Association for all the hard work that they did over the weekend. It was a great weekend to be in Mason, and we're excited about the future events that will be coming this fall. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Other announcements? Next item, number 5 on the agenda, people from the floor. If there's anybody that wishes to speak, Mr. Carmichael. Please state your name and address for the record, and we'll allow you approximately 3 minutes.
My name is Jack Carmichael. I live at 519 South Rogers Street. At the last council meeting, I mentioned to you my 18 years of representing the American government in the international arena. May I further mention that subsequent to my international service, I have also served the American government and the American people for 5 years on issues of national security. Pat mentioned to me as we came into the room this evening that he's passing on the note I sent to all of you in the mail to the city attorney. I have another document for Pat to pass on to the city attorney, which I'll pass out to you this evening. Here are excerpts from this resolution passed by the City Council of Ann Arbor expressing their opposition to drilling by the West Bay Exploration Company in nearby Scioto Township. Whereas oil exploration and drilling is proposed in Scioto Township within 2 miles from the Ann Arbor city limits and less than 1 mile from the Huron River. Whereas oil exploration and drilling can produce significant air pollution, heavy truck traffic, and the risk for the release of hazardous substances above and below ground, which have the possibility of traveling into or impacting the city of Ann Arbor and its primary source of drinking water. Whereas the Constitution of the state of Michigan calls for, and I quote, the protection of the air, water, and other natural resources of the state from pollution, impairment, and destruction. Resolved, the City Council expresses its opposition to said oil exploration and drilling, and any future oil exploration and drilling in areas adjacent to or in close proximity to the city of Ann Arbor. Resolved, that the city of Ann Arbor requests that the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality require an environmental impact assessment, including impacts to surrounding natural resources and public health, safety, and welfare prior to any final decision regarding permit application A140053. I've also supplied the mayor, and I hope he'll give a copy to the city attorney, a partial list of 10 cities, townships, and counties that have passed oil and gas moratoriums and resolutions. I'm going to give you all copies of this right now.
Yes? Yeah,
Marlene, thank you very much.
I hope the city attorney and the city council will stand to act on this important matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Carmichael. Thanks for providing these documents. We'll see. Mr. Hitch, did you get copies yet? Or
I'll receive copies.
we'll see that he gets copies. We'll add this to our growing file on the matter and take it under consideration. You're welcome. Sir, yes. Again, please state your name and address for our record. And
Good evening, Council. My name is James Gill, a P.O. Box out of Lansing, 14354, Lansing, Michigan, 48933. Again, my name is James Gill. I'm a candidate for Ingham County Sheriff. Just come out tonight to introduce myself to the Council. I've been in law enforcement for 35 years. I first started my career in the United States Army as a military police. After the military police, I returned back to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and started with the Kalamazoo County Sheriff Department, the Calhoun County Sheriff Department. After 5 or 6 years there, then I came to Lansing. And I worked at Lansing, now retired from the police department after 25 years of service. I was a homicide detective when I retired. Every single homicide that I've ever worked in the city of Lansing, I solved every last single homicide. My platform, I'm going to come back a little bit later and talk to you about my platform, but I'm affiliated with several different organizations in the city of Lansing, the VFW, the Lions Club, American Legions. I'm a member of Antioch Missionary Baptist Church. During my campaign, we're going to talk about development partnerships with the schools, maintaining full-time work hours, keeping lines of communication open, and keep the public informed. Of course, officer safety, school safety, gun control, gang and drug violence, domestic assault, drunk driving, and safer streets for the residents of Ingham County. So I just wanted to come out and introduce myself. I will be back to lay out my platform. I think it's a little bit too early right now. The election is not until August of 2016. So I just wanted to come out and introduce myself. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Sure, thank you, and thanks for introducing your intentions. Is there any other individuals from the floor that wish to address the council this evening? Seeing no additional, item 6, presentations. Council members, are there any presentations this evening? Seeing none. Item 7 is the consent agenda, consisting of the approval of minutes of both the special council meeting of June 15th and the regular council meeting of June 15th, approval of bills, and at present, a motion to consider the ongoing demolition for 1020 East Ash Street.
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to remove the special council meeting minutes and the item C, the motion regarding 1020 East Ash Street, from the consent agenda.
Motion has been made and seconded to remove item 7A. That's true. Pardon?
We forgot the introductions of the police officers.
I don't have it.
It may not be on here, but there's new officers to be introduced.
Yeah, that's what we'll need to do. Back to the consent agenda. We have a motion to remove, motion and second to remove the special council meeting and item C.
You don't need a motion to remove it, just all you have to do is request.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
With the removal of those items, I move the adoption of the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Mr. Mayor, we have looks like a breakdown in communications because allegedly there was supposed to be a request to the council to introduce some new police officers. So I would ask your patience to go back a second for people from the floor so that we can get them here before the council. I'd appreciate it.
Sure. And that was brought to my attention quietly by Councilmember Mulvaney. Normally, we have on our agenda an item for introductions, and it's in a particular order, and it's just simply not present on this agenda. So it would be appropriate to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add introductions, at which point we will have the introductions.
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
I move to amend the agenda to add at present the introductions from our police department.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to amend the agenda. Is there an item number?
Just right.
Present.
Present.
To add the introductions to this point at the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Taking us to introductions. Mr. Price.
Mayor and Council, as you can see, we have the chief here, and I would like to introduce him at this point, at which point he will then introduce our new candidates, or in fact our new police officers, so the council gets a chance to meet them. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm John Stressman. I'm Chief of Police for the City of Mason. Some of you may remember me. It's with a good sense of pride that I tonight want to introduce to you our two newest police officers, and I wanted to do it before they have been here for so long that you would know them better than I do. How
first officer is Michael Pence. Michael was a graduate of Fair State University, where he received his bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and is a graduate of the Mid-Michigan Police Academy, where he had received his MCOLS license. What year? 2015. So he's brand new right out of the hopper. Next to him, some of you, as he was raised here in Mason, may know this gentleman. His name's Evan Benahoff. I pronounced it correctly. Is that correct? Evan is a veteran police officer that served his time with the Ingham County Sheriff's Department. After 25 years, retired, and then went to work in Leslie, Michigan, where he had worked there for the last year until we snatched him away from Chief Delamarter. It didn't go well, but he's forgiven me. Probably it always goes that way. Evan has attended Lansing Community College and is a graduate of the Mid-Michigan Police Academy, and he's also a graduate of our own Mason High School. So if you would please welcome these two officers, and I'm sure that I think they're going to be here for a while.
Thank you, Chief. Welcome. Nice to meet you. Welcome. Nice to meet you. Welcome. Nice to meet you. Welcome. Thank you.
One last thing before I leave the presentation, I want to congratulate Leon Clark, Councilmember Clark, for his fine picture in today's Mason Today paper for your winning second runner-up for the Fiend Beer. Fiend Beer. I didn't say this, Leon, but you remind me of the guy from what's the name of that movie? Boondock Saints, the dad. No, you're not. Good actor.
I'll have to look that one up.
Guy reminds me a lot of you, Leon.
Are they illegal now, those beers?
Are they illegal?
Are they illegal now that the Centennial is over?
That's
Tennial's not
between
over
he
till
and
December.
whoever cares to challenge him on it. I'm not going to right now.
No, next phase of the competition is in November, so I figure by then I'll probably look more like Duck Dynasty than anything else.
Good luck.
Thank you, Chief, and nice to meet you, sirs.
Mr. Mayor, again, I'm going to interrupt. I was just wondering if the council has any questions for the city attorney, and if not, I think he should be excused.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Are there any questions specifically for the attorney this evening? Seeing none,
Appreciate that. You have a good evening. We'll turn the clock up.
glad you could join us for a few moments at the meeting.
There you go. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Hitch. First item of regular business then is the special council meeting of June 15th.
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I understand that council has been provided with a revised copy of the minutes. I did have one question, or at least one comment, on the report of the ad hoc subcommittee to recommend an acting city administrator. It was my hope that the actual criteria that was determined to be used in the selection of the temporary appointment would actually be listed in the minutes. I know the minutes do not require that, but given that this meeting was not televised and that we want to make sure that our city manager transition is as transparent as possible, I would simply ask if it's the will of the council that we actually include that criteria in the body of the minutes.
Mayor Pro Tem, from my recollection, I believe that the motion to include them was simply to accept them and place them on file. I mean, will that suffice, or is that?
Sure. Yeah. Normally we would not include the text of a report or anything of that nature in the minutes. It's not required under the OMA or required under Robert's rules. I just thought that this was a unique case, and I do remember at the last meeting that there was some discussion about what we were actually approving when we made that motion. So if it's not the consensus of the council, I'm fine approving the minutes as they are. It was simply a suggestion on my part, and I only offer it up as a consensus.
Council members?
I'd support that. I asked for a copy of them at the last meeting, didn't get them. So either they're a very well-regarded secret or we just don't want to publicize them, but I think they should be public.
I'll concur.
Did you receive a copy of them, Madam Clerk? I mean, I believe you did, but just to be sure, I can get you a copy, another one if you need it. Okay.
Yeah, I believe I had given that copy to another person that had asked for them, so
Okay.
I would need that. Thank you.
Okay. That's not a problem. I would support that as well, if that's the consensus. Mayor Pro Tem.
If that is the consensus, I'll move the adoption of the special city council meeting minutes from June 15th, 2015, with the noted addition for the ad hoc committee report.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes with the addition of the subcommittee criteria. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next item of regular business is the motion to consider continuing demolition at 1020 East Ash Street. Mr. Price, would you like to give us a briefing on where you're at with that?
Well, apparently this has been ongoing for quite some time. I saw that some of the bids were received a year ago. However, I know that Councilmember Bruno had a question about whether or not the hauler would be licensed and certified to haul certain kinds of materials, and in this case, we're talking about asbestos. I wasn't aware that had been a question previously made, but the only thing I can say is that it is that the apparent low bidder or the lowest proposal submitted was Anderson Fisher Associates, and they have on their stationery an MDOT pre-qualified contractor. Now, I think that from that would indicate that they are. However, if you'd like to make it contingent, but I would like to get this going and get it over with, that I will make sure that this company is properly certified, licensed to haul this material.
Councilmember Bruno.
With that assurance by Pat, I would move that we accept the bid subject to his finding if the contractor is properly licensed.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the bid with that assurance. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next item of regular business is item on your agenda as item 8A, a first reading of an ordinance to add Article 7 to Chapter 42 of the Code of the City of Mason. Mr. Price, would you like to brief us on that one as well, please?
Yes, this is an ordinance that, in fact, I'm a little surprised that it hadn't been part or inclusive already, but this basically says that it's a crime, it's a misdemeanor, to call in a false report involving the police, the fire, or even ambulances. And there is a penalty. In fact, there are several paragraphs involving the penalties in terms of what the judge may impose upon that person, whether it's a juvenile or whether an adult. It could be community services, or it could be $500 and 90 days in jail. So all this does is, I think, do something that probably we all thought was in there to begin with. So I think this is sort of like a housekeeping kind of thing with this ordinance.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we introduce the proposed ordinance contained under Agenda Item 8A, Fire Code Ordinance, and also consider it read for the first time.
Second.
Motion's been made to introduce the ordinance to add Article 7 to Chapter 42 of the Code of the City and consider it read for the first time. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Unfinished business. Councilmember Drosha.
Just one quick bit of unfinished business. And I don't care if it comes later on as a liaison report. I'd like just a quick update on where we're at with the ad hoc and finding a third-party firm and all that, please.
Okay, I can provide that. We'd actually have a new develop as of this evening. The information that the ad hoc subcommittee has requested has all been received, the last of it coming in Thursday evening, just prior to the holiday weekend. And we have scheduled a meeting to review that for tomorrow evening. You're welcome. Unfinished business, Councilmember Mulvaney.
Only a comment about that. I think that's is that ad hoc committee is probably an open meeting, but if other council people come, they would not be allowed to speak because it's an ad hoc committee. Can we clarify that?
You can't have a quorum. That's
right.
That's
we
correct.
Correct. So it's strictly the ad hoc committee at this point to remain a sub-quorum.
Okay.
And then the subcommittee will present their recommendations either at the next regularly scheduled council meeting or a special council meeting.
Thank you. That's all.
Unfinished business, Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
I have no unfinished business.
Unfinished business, Councilmember Ferris.
None.
Unfinished business, Councilmember Clark.
None.
Unfinished business, Councilmember Bruno.
None.
New business, Councilmember Drosha.
I have none.
Councilmember Mulvaney.
None.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I have none.
Councilmember Ferris.
None.
Councilmember Clark.
None.
Councilmember Bruno.
None.
In your packet, you have some correspondence for a request for a donation by AIC and attached memo from the acting city administrator regarding his concerns with that. That's all for correspondence. Liaison reports. Mr. Mulvaney, let's start with you. Historic District Commission.
The Historic Commission did meet since the last meeting, and I was unable to attend that. And I may have to ask until Dave Haywood at the next meeting comes in. It was nothing particularly important, but we did have an agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Mulvaney. Planning Commission, Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Planning Commission will meet next Tuesday, July 14th at 6:30 p.m. right here in City Hall.
Traffic Commission, Councilmember Drosha.
Our next meeting is July 22nd, 5:30, right here.
Tree Commission, Councilmember Ferris.
Nothing to report on trees, but the next meeting of the Parks and Trails Committee is at the Lake Lansing Park at 6 p.m. on the 27th.
Thank you for the reports and the reports of meetings to happen in the near future. DDA met last week and reviewed the financial reports, accepted them for May and June of 2015. There was a very brief discussion about the bike rack project. One of the key members who was collecting and providing information and recommendations on that was not present that evening. Had a brief report on the lamp poles restoration, the 80-some light poles in the DDA that need to be refinished. The bids that have come in were quite significantly higher than anticipated and significantly higher than what's in the budget for that project. So the The RFP will be rewritten and redistributed in hopes of getting some more reasonable quotes for that. Had just a brief discussion on the facade grant program prior to considering some applications, and also discussed the trash problem that we have also been a part of the discussions. An extra trash container was purchased for the DDA, and I resisted the temptation, Mr. Bruno, to request the price that they paid, but allegedly we know what that can cost. Also, a number of the businesses that have been impacted by the trash overflowing problem have provided some additional trash containers in front of their businesses. We just had a brief update as well about the final payment of $25,000, which was a second $25,000 payment for the Ash Street Redevelopment LLC project, or 124 and 140 East Ash. So our obligation is now complete. And we also just had a brief discussion that the DDA budget that was approved by council was the same as was presented earlier. Also, in the absence of Mr. Colburn, who, as we know, has taken a new position in Traverse City, the DDA, as an authority, appointed Eric Smith as treasurer and secretary of the DDA. And lastly, 2 facade grants were considered. One was awarded to MK&G Properties, and that will be for the first of several projects to restore the facade for the corner building of the Lawrence Block, formerly, most recently, Dart Insurance Company. It's going to start with removing the gray block around the door, reconstructing the brick that has been removed for the present door, and restoring it as closely as possible back to the recommendations that the Secretary of Interior provided in the initial study that was previously done. Another facade grant was reviewed and approved for the Antiques Mall on the corner of North Street and Mason Street, and that is going to be further reviewed by the Executive Committee, which is also meeting tomorrow night. That's all I have. Councilmember Mulvaney.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I would like to fill you in on the business of the Historical Commission. I had gotten filled in by Dave Haywood that the petitioner was the Presbyterian Church. The request was to go ahead with that particular building, which is part of our historical downtown area, and they're going to carefully remove all of the stone from the addition and the side of the building, extend the primary footprint of the building out so it is aligned with the rest of the front of the church. And there's perspective drawings on that available from Mr. Haywood if anybody's interested. That project was approved.
Thank you, Councilmember Mulvaney. Are there any council member reports this evening? Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly, I just wanted to share that last week on June 23rd, the Michigan Municipal League held what was called the Locust Development Summit, and it was in Detroit. It was a partnership between the MML and Smart Growth America, and the title of the conference was Closing the Next Smart Growth Deal. It was an opportunity to talk with business developers as well as other municipalities about their initiatives to promote walkability, to promote placemaking, and also to promote economic development within their communities. And I had a very interesting roundtable discussion with some leaders from the city of Ypsilanti. So I wanted to bring in a copy of the program to share with my council colleagues. It's free for you to take a look at if you so desire, and there's also more information on the Michigan Municipal League website regarding this particular summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other council member reports? Item 14 on the agenda is the administrator reports. Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a number of items on here. One is to permission to close alley. This was, of course, before this meeting, but we received a request from Mr. and Mrs. Jeffries at 215 East Elm to close the alley between Oak and Elm and between Rogers and Barnes. That would have been on, when was that? July 4th, I believe. But anyway, I received responses from the police chief, fire chief. Everybody was pleased. All right. So anyway, that was granted, and they held their party for America apparently. Short-term goals and objectives. This has been brought before the staff as well as the council has been working on it. To try to describe goals and objectives from a 1 to 2 or 3 year period at max, and for the idea of budgeting, programming, or planning and programming, and I think it's an excellent idea for that purpose. And the only issue is that I do firmly believe that this should involve the new administrator whenever he or she comes on board. After approximately a month with the city or a month and a half, then to meet with staff and council to review these objectives. That makes to me it's the most logical sense and accomplish, I think, an important task. DPW work hours. We are doing sort of a trial basis. Our DPW personnel are going to be working from 6 to 4:30 p.m. every day, or in other words, a 10-hour day, and of course that's a 4-day week for them. We will have half the crew basically there Monday through Thursday and the other Tuesday through Friday, which means that on every day of the week we will have people there doing DPW work and responsibilities, taking responsibilities, especially in the areas of water and sewer and the rest. And we're going to try it until, I believe, September 5th. So we're going to see how it works out. Our Director of Public Works feels that there would be a number of efficiencies by going that way. So on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we will have a full force working again from 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I did bring it to the attention of the Director of Public Works that we have a noise ordinance that says you do not do construction before 7 a.m. So the first hour is going to be, and that was never going to be a problem for them because it's really setting up. A lot of barricading and all the stuff getting ready for the work. So we're not going to have the street sweeper going until 7 a.m. and nothing that's noisy that is going to hopefully bother anybody will not start until 7 a.m. So we were aware of that. Let's see. Yes, this was at the request of the city clerk, the numbering of resolutions and ordinances, that she has asked that we take into consideration that when we number a resolution and or an ordinance and it fails, so does the number. The number, and it leaves our files in a gap. In other words, 1, 2, 3, 8, 7, or 8, 9, 10. It's like something's missing. Well, we'd like to avoid that for 50 years down the road, that this is what was done and let's get back on track. So the city clerk will be responsible to give you that number after it's adopted. Okay? Whether it's a resolution or ordinance, part of the minutes will be, the number will be given at that time. Okay? And I just pointed out the number of celebration activities that we were going to have over this past weekend, and Mr. Brown has spoken eloquently on that part of it. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Are there any questions for the acting city administrator? Hearing none, we are adjourned. That just doesn't have the same ring to it.
always felt like you cracked the